I've been looking forward to this conversation for so long, Ned, and I'm so happy that you're here today. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really am doing so much better. It's been a long road, but I'm just reaching even an all new level and can't wait to tell you about it.
Oh, Ned, well, thank you so much. Just for the listeners' understanding, Ned and I met a few years ago online when he was getting into the Euphoric materials and program, and he had just this incredible positivity about him, just this excitement about changing his life and helping others as well. And as time went on, I heard less from Ned, and then I heard from him again, and he encountered an incredibly difficult challenge and situation. So, Ned, would you like to share a little bit about your background and just kind of what's going on and happened for you in the last few years?
Yes, thank you. Um, you know, it, I did. I became aware of you online, and I really, I gotta say, there was a time in my life where it was kind of like I'd been, using, drinking and stuff. I was in the music business for a number of years. And especially promoting concerts and all that, and going to concerts all the time. There's a lot of drinking involved, I drank a lot over the years and stuff, but I really had kind of reached a point. But it was really wonderful that I first encountered you, and I heard you online, and um, it's really funny. I really found learning from you. It's like you really hit the nail on the head when you were, talking about people and their experiences. And you talked about your own experience, which was really wonderful. And, everything I read by you, you had done a lot of research and stuff. And I was really amazed. And I'd say, but, there's this and that, and I'd keep reading and I'd say, oh, damn it. Excuse me. I say she thought of that. And it was just wonderful. You just were so thorough in so many ways, and I just couldn't really argue with all that you said. But listen, I mean, I don't want to keep talking your ear off, but the story is, I really had gotten to know you. And I really did learn from you. And we connected online in different ways and stuff like that. But, it was a really hard time. We were, pandemic was going on. And unfortunately, I couldn't work at my job for a while. And, I'm not going to admit too much, but I was in the, music business and promoting concerts and stuff. And, oh boy, they really went on hold for a long time. Concerts couldn't be held with everybody afraid of being near each other. Anyway, it really was a tough time. And I was working on my own in my apartment, but I learned a lot from you. And I finally decided to quit drinking. I know there was one time where I went where I was there was an announcement that all these liquor stores were going to be closed, and everybody rushed out to the liquor stores. And I was on a huge line, and I had 3 or 4 bottles of, of vodka or something in my hands. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous, And a lot of the, your being there at that time really helped me to realize, oh, I am done, because I'd had a lot of years experience, and because I, really kind of was almost an easier thing to come to this decision finally, with all that you had shared with me. The rest is history.
Wow, Ned, that's so amazing. And I'm sure that as time went on, other challenges like came up for you. So tell us what happened next.
Yes. Unfortunately, I quit drinking for 5 months, and I really just felt better in a lot of ways. And I was living by myself and stuff. but I was still jogging and I was doing all these things to encourage my going on. And, suddenly I became ill and I got checked into a hospital and it's called glioblastoma. Oh boy, the name is going to sound silly, but I really think that should be the name of a metal band, glioblastoma, because I'm obsessed with music, and concerts and stuff. And over the years, I saw so many amazing concerts, both in New York, and then I'd come back to Philadelphia, where I am now, and really had plans to do a lot. But anyway, I got hospitalized, and oh boy, they operated on my brain, and it was very, very serious. And my recovery just took so long. It was so gradual. But I'm gonna make this motion with my arm and show you like how very gradually I made it back. But all along, because of what you taught me, I got over the drinking, and I was, moving along, and my family was just so important, and friends and coworkers and everything. But it was a long road of recovery. And then finally, now that I've come a long way, I've even really been able to look back, and this is mind blowing. But um, there was there was really only 5% of people who go beyond 1 year, and I'm at the point of two now. So it is just so crazy, and just the mere fact that I'm still going, and that I have so many friends and family behind me, and you have been so very kind to have me on the program. So isn't this amazing?
Wow. Ned, I mean, I have never talked to someone who has dealt with something so hard physically and mentally, but also has such a spirit of positivity. How did you cultivate that? And, what were your initial kind of feelings of this shock, or the, just pure being scared, of having fear around this situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, fear was a big part of it, because I was able to really, I was, after the operation, I really couldn't really communicate, and really, feel well. And I was a little bit scared, and things like that. So it was a long road to recover, and I mean, because I went through so much, it has really changed the outlook I have of life. And it really is amazing. I mean, I won't go on and on about this, but at this point, I'm able to go and visit people who have gone through what I've gone through, and I still have a problem with my right side, my right leg, my right arm, my my right eye, and everything. And at first, I had to get a lot of therapy, and I was in a wheelchair, and it was so hard for everybody, for to go through all of that. But over time, I did get better. I got out of my wheelchair. I learned to walk. I still have. I mean, I'm never going to be back to the way I initially was. And over time. There was always times in my life where I just, had sickness or something, and I still bounced back. But I really think it's important I'm at this stage where, I'm still going strong. It's not forever. There are some time limits to what I'm going through, but I take it a day at a time. And to be able to now visit people that were in the same hospital that I was at, it's just amazing. And when I walk in, they see my arm, they see my legs, they see my, brace on my leg. And I really, so much able to relate to what they're going through. In the old days, believe me, I used drinking, and I'll give an example in a second, but I used to use drinking under these circumstances, But now I am just reached a point of, thank goodness I'm back. And I value every single day, every hour of every day, And it was funny the way I kind of recovered in time. It was like I had to kind of live my life all over again, but instead, I a baby the way I responded at first. And then I was like a kid, and I was like complaining about the way I was, and I had posters up in the wall in my room. I was like I was a teenager in a lot of ways. And then, it's just really funny the way I went through it. You have to at least have some kind of, a way of viewing everything that you go through in order to just keep on going, Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, Ned. And I just think that so many of us go through so many situations in life that are nowhere near the gravity and the, seriousness of what you went through with this. I can't even repeat the medical diagnosis. So you're right. It's so long. And, but like, what would you say to someone who's going through a challenge and just feeling depressed and scared about it, and it's nowhere near as serious or dangerous as something that you went through? Like, what did you really learn about the perspective of life through this situation?
Yeah. Oh boy, that really is a great question. Who? I mean, coming back after what I've been through, like I said, it really has changed the way I'm like really proceeding with everything, and I really learned so much along the ways, and you taught me so much, and the timing is just really incredible, But there's even more I can share. I want to give you an example. I have notes written down here of really the example that I think kind of sums up so much of what you taught me and how I live my life now, So let me share. So once I was really back out of the hospital, I was living with my dear sister, and I just, because I was really in this hard state of coming back, I was able to communicate with a lot of family, but my uncle reached out to me, and my uncle, over the years, he had some health issues and stuff. He didn't really share that much, but it was off and on for a whole number of years, and I've really known him for a long time. And when I was, feeling better, he reached out to me and he said, "Wow, I can really relate to what you're going through." And I could really relate to a lot of what he went through. So he told me we had a number of weekly calls. This is a really fun way that I could, learn the way you do things and share with my family and friends, And we had 4 or 5 weekly calls together. But he told me that he was really, his health was finally kind of going downhill. He was looking at the end of end of his life, and he shared that with me, because boy, I could really relate to what he was going through. But he told me, he told me how much he loved his wife, and I always knew him as an uncle, But to hear him say how much he loved and how dear she was to him was so moving. And we had those couple of calls, and then I stopped hearing from him. And then, just after a few weeks, I officially heard he had died, And, I was invited to the funeral, and me and my sister and her boyfriend, we just said, let's jump in a car and let's just hurry up and go there. We just said, it was amazing. And my sister and her boyfriend were just so important to this really important time for me. Let me know if I'm talking too much. But to make a point of it, we finally rushed up there and we got to the funeral and the burial and everything. But after, they had little luncheonette, and all the guests were there and everything. And I quit drinking a while before. So I really just, even a funeral, I just said, I feel emotion now in a way that in the old days I drank and I just was, I don't want to feel emotion, you know? And so now, thanks to what we learned from you and everything, I just said, oh my gosh, I want to just experience this funeral because it's for a dear, dear uncle of mine, you know? And I'm going to get to see my aunt too, you know? So we saw a lot of family and stuff. But as soon as I got there, you know, I went to the reception and I said, listen, I really want to just get up in front of everybody and say a few words. I'll keep it short and sweet. Don't worry, you know. But they said, oh, that's wonderful. We actually want everyone to say some words and stuff. So we'll make sure you're on the list. So I said, okay, thank you. And everybody had food. And then there was finally the time, you know, and they opened up the group to talk to everybody, and everybody was still sitting at their tables. They're all close by, and they had their chance to really speak to the group. And so each one of them spoke, and then they, you know, kind of went through everybody, and they said, "Oh, Ned's on our list. Ned's important," you know. And of course, the way I have learned over time, you know, I stood up and I walked up in front of the group, and I had my, you know, the way I walked was with, you know, the slump, but they were like, oh, wow, this is a person standing in front of us and speaking. And I said, listen, I just want to make sure you can all hear me at this point, you know, because I'd use that as an excuse. But, you know, what I wanted was really just to get these feelings off my chest and share with the whole group. So I kept it short and simple, but I talked about, this was really wonderful that me and my uncle had listened to music together, and me listening to music together was a big deal that I always shared, you know, with all my friends over the years as we did concerts and promoted music. And you know, one of the things I said to the group is that, you know, this, I'll say the band name is the Kings of Leon. Do you remember them? What's his favorite band? And so I said, you know, just a number of little things. And I said, oh, music was so important to him and to me, and we shared a lot of that. And but I told about that time that he said how much he loved his wife. Oh, and how moved I was by that. So I got to say my things off my chest, and I said, okay, thank you. And I got out of the crowd, and they actually cheered for me. They applauded me or something ridiculous like that. But it was just so wonderful to finally get that off my chest. But here is a part that just blew me away. I got back to my table. I met more people because I had shared, and then I waited for a moment where I'd be able to communicate with my aunt. So I kept an eye out, you know, for when she might be free. And then sure enough, I got a chance, and I went up to her and I said, oh, do you mind if I join you for a minute? You know, and, oh, sure. You know, she let me sit there and talk to her. And I said, thank you for letting me speak to the group. And she said, oh, no, this was great. She said, you know, we knew he had communication with you, but then of course he was ill. And I said, oh, I figured as much, you know. And, you know, we were just talking, and then she said, oh my goodness, I remembered something. I said, please share this with me. And she said, you know, the fact that you were talking about music and stuff reminded me when he was at the point where he was, you know, close to the end, and he was, most of the time, he was kind of like unable to communicate with us, you know. So There was somebody, one of his children had this wonderful idea of taking headphones, putting them on his ears, and playing some of the music that he loved. And he really, all of a sudden, he was still, kind of unconscious, but he smiled when he heard the music. And I was just blown away when I heard that, because I'm obsessed with music and I'm going to want to hear music and I'm in my final stages. I never would have heard that if I didn't remind her, if I didn't make it a point to get up and talk to her, and I stayed sober the whole time. And I really, this is just what I always wanted to do. And I thank you so much. I really feel like you got me on the right path here. Thank you.
Oh, Ned, you are so sweet. And I'm just so amazed by that story of like really truly experiencing some of the hardest things that life has for us, but feeling them and feeling the bittersweetness of it too. Like, yes, it's so sad you lost your uncle, but yet the memories you were able to share with his partner and the love that he expressed for his wife and the music you both loved. I mean, sometimes we have to feel the deepest things in order to see life's most beautiful gifts. And I think you're just such an incredible example of that today, Ned. I'm so curious, like today in your life, what is a really good day? Like, what do you enjoy? What are your simple pleasures that just make you smile today?
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. I know when I first started reading your book, of course, I just was sharing with you that Euphoric is wonderful. I remember you kind of started off by just expressing how like kind of wonderful your life is. But for me, it's like I take it every day at a time, and I love the fact that I'm able to do even more. There's just simple things like, being able to shave my face and like, being able to just do such simple things that I always did. But each one is like precious in a way that I experience it now. And when I listen to music, I mean, as I was preparing for this call, I was listening to a lot of music, so I wouldn't be too nervous. And, the music is just so important to me because, like I said, I was involved in like promoting concerts and, music will always be so special to me. So it's like I'm kind of like getting to the point where I want to spend each day with the things that I love the most. And I speak to my father every day, a couple times on the phone at least. So he's not far off. So I get to see him. I just feel like my family is closer than ever. It's really hard times that we all went through together. And but I do think we're closer to each other because there are really some like positive, linings there. And what's really funny, I have to share with you that do you remember the movie Memento starring Guy Pearce? Do you remember that?
Yeah. How you can't remember for more than I think 7 or 8 seconds.
That is really, kind of what I still kind of go through. So it's a good thing I have notes for this call because I just, get caught up in a lot. And then all of a sudden I forget what I was going to say. Or like in his movie, like if he's supposed to remember something, he's got to write it down really quick or he forgets it. And they use that against him in the movie. So I just love to talk about movies too.
Wow. Well, it sounds like family, simple pleasures and really this idea of growth, of being able to do more than you were at yesterday. Like you just appreciate so much, Ned. And I think it's just such a beautiful predisposition. And I really hope that anyone out there who's just struggling right now or just feeling like, they're in their own kind of challenge or feeling a lot of pity or sadness around what they're going through. I hope this episode can just be such a ray of hope, just such a ray of hope of, standing it back up again and healing. And like you said, going each and every day with gratitude and appreciation and finding the things that matter most to you and focusing on them, Ned. And I just think you're such an incredible example of that. I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me too. I am such a big fan, and this is like on my checklist of things that I had to do.
Oh, well, it's such a pleasure. And everyone in the audience and I are rooting for you. We're giving you such good thoughts and healing on your recovery journey as you continue to grow. And, I'm sure we'd all love to hear from you at another time and just see how incredibly you're progressing. So, Ned, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's really been a blessing for me.
Thank you, for me too.